So then, do any atheists, do any materialists have an ability to kind of look at their own viewpoint and call it reductionistic, like Nancy Pearcey does? Well, in fact, John Gray, an atheist, when he's talking with other atheists, logically points out materialism leads to reductionism, the conclusion that humans are nothing but animals. But most materialists do not want to accept that bleak conclusion. They want to grant humanity a higher status and dignity. They want to believe that humans have consciousness, selfhood, and free will. Gray writes, the high view of humanity he labels humanism, and he denounces it as a prime example of freeloading. Humanists never tire of preaching. Darwin has shown us that we are animals, and therefore the idea of free will does not come from science. Its origins are in religion, not just any religion, though, but the Christian faith, against which humanists rail so obsessively. So it's humanism is only a secular version of Christian principles, he goes on to say. So we could say that humanists do not want to live within the confines of their own materialist mock. They smuggle in Christianity, and so that's what we want. So again, they'll get you to the from molecules to man, there's a social hierarchy embedded within our nature, but ultimately all we are is animals, and so who cares about what our nature might have been or be? Why should we follow that? Why should we continue on? Who cares about surviving? But now we have to talk about things like free action within confines of a universe where I'm changing my gills into lungs, and there's no free will in that act. You're just there. You're doing it.
You're just being moved by various laws
right.
of nature.
Yeah, and so what is will? What is will? Will is the kind of this icky mind problem that results from a consciousness that has the ability to do that. And so we can have that discussion on what exactly is free will. And so people like Scott Christensen, who I believe episode 13 we interviewed, talks about proper understanding of free will. Those are all good things to have, but what's the foundation principle within that? The ability to have true choices in the world. And you don't get that with this kind of humanism point of view, grounded in just
because the
chance.
laws of nature, either it's the laws of nature that are controlling us, but they're based on chance, right? And so we don't get that concept there. She gives us another example here. Thomas Nagel, he's the author of Mind and Cosmos. This is a very famous book, actually.
Yeah.
And the subtitle is Why the Materialist Neo-Darwin Concept of Nature is Almost Certainly False, right? And so he goes after the Darwinist theory, right? He says it's almost certainly false. Notice, precisely because she mentions it leads to this reductionism that she's been talking about, right?
And so Nagel is this devout Christian, right?
Absolutely
he
not.
Oh.
Right, he's an atheist. Okay. He doesn't believe in God, right?
This really undercuts our example then.
Yeah. So, here's an example. Consider the lowly pocket calculator. Tap in 3 plus 5 or 5 plus 3, and the number 8 appears on the screen. Right. So notice she says the figure 8 pattern of pixels may be explainable in purely physical terms as the pulse of electrons traveling through the microchip gates.
Sure.
But Nagel argues that there is no reductionistic explanation of how the calculator was programmed to produce the 8 in the first place. That requires, he says, the intention of the designer. Right, and so you have to have a mind. You have to have intention. Intentions, purpose, that sort of thing. Right, in order to program this to do what it's doing. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can reduce everything into the electrochemical processes or whatever, right, or how the electrons flow through the little machine, but that really does. That's one level of an explanation, but it really doesn't explain how the machine was there in the first place to accomplish the purposes that it accomplishes.
Right. You can show me 8 things, but you can't show me the number 8. Right. And so 8 seems to have this this non-physical
universal
dimension. Yeah.
Yeah. So she says, obviously, that Nagel, who is an atheist, as we mentioned, is alluding to a divine designer when he makes these kinds of claims, right? She says something more is needed to explain, for instance, moral and human scientific knowledge. And Nagel argues that an evolutionary concept of the mind undercuts, notice, our confidence in the objective truth of moral beliefs, right? As well as the objective truth of our mathematical or scientific reasoning. So notice that this particular worldview doesn't allow for those things, or at least, as he says, it undercuts our confidence in the objectivity of mathematics and ethics, right? Yet Nagel says that we cannot just give up our knowledge in these areas. Why not? Because the knowledge is based ultimately on common sense and on what is plainly undeniable. And of course, this is his cognitive dissonance.
Sure.
We can't, it's like this, it doesn't fit our worldview, but we can't give it up. We have to live as if it's true, even though our worldview says it can't possibly exist this way.
We don't want these outcomes that stem from our understanding. We do want these outcomes that we really don't like because they're icky, because they point to a designer. And all these things do kind of point to a designer, but we can't have that.
Right.
Why? Because we can't have that. We just can't have that.
Right. So, and that's the question she asked, right? So obviously Nagel, who is an atheist, then has a great practical, logical explanation for this, right? Yep. This is what she says.
Here's his explanation.
Having rejected God, however, what alternative does Nagel propose? Nothing at all.
Well, no. I mean, he's got to have something, right? Like,
he says, quote, my aim is to present the problem rather than to propose a solution. Right. All right. Well, great. Well, we have a solution for you,
thanks.
Thomas. Yeah.
He throws the grenade in the party. It explodes. He walks out. You're welcome.
Nagel, she says, is an eye-opening example of an atheist who is desperately trying to maintain both sides of a severe cognitive dissonance, right? Nagel is trying to retain the benefits of a Christian worldview while he rejects the basis of Christianity.
Right.